You, a waitress, forcefully kissed a poor bricklayer from a construction site. He gave you millions in jewelry, but you dismissed it as fake. After breaking up, you tested positive for 2 lines and went on a blind date. However, your blind date turned out to be the ex-boyfriend you dumped, but he transformed into a wealthy heir. After we broke up, I took a pregnancy test and got 2 lines. My family arranged a blind date with a wealthy family. I had no choice but to brace myself and meet the sucker. I wanted to ask him if he'd be willing to be a stepdad. As soon as I walked in, I froze. My ex-boyfriend was sitting there with a dark expression, and when he saw me, he looked stunned. My mom enthusiastically introduced, "Jennifer, this is the heir to the Dawson family. Shouldn't he be working on a construction site?" My ex-boyfriend stood up, looking at me with a half smile. "Aren't you going to be waiting tables at the restaurant today?" When I first met Luke Dawson, I had just run away from home in a fit of pique. My dad had cut off my cards and confiscated my car and house. Sticking to the principle that I'd rather starve than accept help from my family, I got a job as a waitress, serving dishes at a hotel. On my first day of work, I forcibly kissed him. But you can't blame me. Blame the tiles. Blame the auntie. The 5-star hotel was really too diligent in cleaning. Luke, whom I had just kissed, had flushed cheeks, delicate features, and skin so fair it looked like water could be squeezed from it. I had intended to say, "I'm sorry, are you all right?" But what came out was, "I'm sorry. You don't mind, do you? If you do, I'll take responsibility." Luke was stunned for a moment, then quickly curved his lips into a faint smile. Okay? Not only was he handsome, but his voice was also so sexy. God must have taken pity on how poor I was, which is why he bestowed such a handsome man upon me. It's just that the handsome man didn't seem to have much money, dressed in clothes from Pinduoduo. But that didn't diminish his handsomeness. Luke stayed until I got off work. Walking on the street, he was so shy he didn't even dare to hold my hand. "Where do you live? I'll walk you home." He said it wasn't safe for a girl to go home alone at night. "Listen to that. What a thoughtful treasure of a boy," I shyly said. "My family is poor, my house is rented, and I'm just a waitress." To my surprise, Luke suddenly grabbed my hand and said very seriously, "If your family is poor, we have hands and feet and are young, we can work hard and strive on our own. As for work, there's no distinction between noble and humble." His values were incredibly upright. I couldn't help but ask, "What do you do for a living?" A flicker of panic crossed Luke's eyes. After a brief pause, he pointed to a large construction site with many half-finished high-rise buildings not far ahead and said, "I work there." "Oh, so you're a bricklayer at a construction site." No wonder he understood the struggles of working people. I patted his shoulder and said, "Boyfriend, your future is boundless." Luke was stunned for a moment, then smiled, curling his lips. "You too." From then on, every day when I passed by Luke's workplace on my way to work, he would be wearing work clothes, standing by the roadside to greet me. His pockets were like a treasure trove. Sometimes he'd pull out steamed buns and soy milk, other times siumai and milk. There was even strawberry mousse. I looked at the exquisitely packaged cake and recognized it as being from the bakery I often frequented. Before, I could devour 10 of them without batting an eye, but now, with my monthly salary of $4,500, even one is a luxury. With a pang in my heart, I carefully scooped out a piece with a spoon and brought it to his mouth, saying emotionally, "It must have been expensive, right? Your monthly salary is only $8,000. Buying such an expensive cake is such a waste." Luke squeezed my hand and put the spoon into my mouth. He frowned and said, "How can it be a waste if I bought it for you? Don't you like it?" How could I not like it? In the month I've been away from home, I've been so frugal that my mouth has almost lost all taste. Last night, as I passed that cake shop, I just glanced at the display window a few more times, and Luke actually remembered it. I hugged him and kissed the corner of his mouth. "Thank you, you're too good to me." Luke smiled with satisfaction. "As long as you like to eat it, Timur, I'll make a lot of money in the future and buy that cake shop for you." The wish is beautiful, but reality is harsh. As far as I know, this cake shop is not for sale, no matter how much money is offered. The next day, I woke up to the news that the cake shop had been acquired by a mysterious buyer who has such great power. On a bench by the road, eating the breakfast Luke brought me, I mumbled, "I heard that Mo Royal's cake shop was acquired. I don't know who it was, but they spent a lot of money." Luke, who was beside me, visibly stiffened and forced a smile, saying, "You already know?" Remembering that he said yesterday he would buy the cake shop for me, my heart softened, and I immediately comforted him. "Oh, don't be sad. These rich people just have too much money to burn. Luke's mouth twitched, seemingly even more upset. Men, they have strong self-esteem, I get it. Honey, actually, I'm already very happy to be able to eat the cake you bought for me. As for the cake shop, before I could finish speaking, my phone vibrated in my pocket. Note, old fox is what my cruel father is. I felt a little guilty, immediately stuffed the remaining bowsy into Luke's hand, and went aside to answer the phone. Jennifer, Dad has thought about it. If you miss home, come back and see Mom and Dad. You know, Mom and Dad have pampered you for more than 20 years. How can you endure hardship outside? Hardship? I looked back at Luke not far away, and my heart was as sweet as if I had drunk honey. It seems Delaney's tough approach didn't work, so he's playing the family card. I know exactly what he's scheming. My mom, for some reason, suddenly became interested in travel these past few years, and the kind of round-the-world travel. In just 2 short years, she's already taken 4 spontaneous trips abroad, leaving my love-struck dad at home, which has him terribly anxious. He practically wants to video call my mom for 20 out of 24 hours a day. His excuse: his wife is too naive, afraid she'll be tricked away. Fortunately, I've developed immunity to all these years of PDA. So, my dad started to manipulate me. He insisted on having me inherit the company, saying he's getting old and doesn't have the energy, and so on. I clearly see that he just wants to travel the world with my mom, which is why he's so eager to dump the company on me. If I were a little weaker-willed, I would have fallen for his trick. Delaney, I told you. I want to live a prosperous life through my own efforts. Tsk. You girl, are you still mad at Dad? Dad was just speaking in anger back then. Let's not talk about that. Jennifer, do you know who bought MO Royal Cakes? I'm not interested in anything else, but this I'm very interested in. Back then, I asked my dad to talk to the owner, but they wouldn't sell it for even $5 million. The owner said they weren't in it for the money, but for the sentiment. So, who bought it? My dad deliberately kept me in suspense. Guess? Delaney, that's no fun. If you don't want to tell me, I'm hanging up. No, I'll tell you. Do you remember that talented student from the Dawson family that Dad asked you to go on a blind date with? There was such a thing. What was his name again? Dawson something? My dad continued. Jennifer, think about it. Now your favorite cake shop has been bought by him. As long as you two get married, won't you be able to eat cake whenever you want? Indeed, MO Royal Cakes are sold in limited quantities daily and require advance reservations, and even then, you might not be able to get them. But because I love cake, I went along with my dad's wish for me to go on a blind date and inherit the company? Isn't that pathetic? Delaney, are you underestimating your daughter? Faced with temptation, I still had the backbone to hang up the phone. Luke saw I was in a bad mood and came over to ask with concern. What's wrong? Nothing. My dad's just nagging. I hugged him and pouted. Luke, we must work twice as hard to make cakes even more delicious than MO Royal. Luke looked at me in surprise. You don't know yet, do you? The person who bought the cake shop is also surnamed Dawson, but he's not as good as you. You're handsome and hardworking, while that Dawson guy is just a rich second-generation heir. How to describe Luke's expression? It was a bit hard to put into words. He cautiously asked me, Jennifer, why are you so hostile towards rich second-generation heirs? Wasn't there a popular saying years ago, I'd rather cry in a BMW than laugh on a bicycle? This kid is probably worried that I'll look down on him, right? So, I quickly said, exactly. I hate those rich second-generation types the most. You don't know, some of the rich people I've seen at our hotel are truly nouveau riche, incredibly arrogant and rude. They're not even as good as us, hard-working poor people, right? I'm one of those exceptions. Luke nodded slightly, then thoughtfully took out the still warm bun from his arms and handed it to me. It smells so good. And honestly, these buns are big, with thin skin and lots of filling inside. Shrimp, beef, mushrooms. It's different every time I eat them. Where did you buy these buns? They're different from the ones I buy outside. Luke paused, a flicker of panic in his eyes. These are made by my family. I couldn't help but give him a thumbs up, praising, wow, was it your mom or your grandma? Their cooking is amazing. Luke just smiled without a word. After breakfast together, we each went to work. During my lunch break, my mom called. Honey, come home. Renting outside is not as good as living in your own house, is it? I've already criticized your dad. He shouldn't have said those things to you back then. My mom still thought I was mad at my dad and that's why I wouldn't come home. Actually, it wasn't entirely for that reason. I know what kind of person I am. I'm fine at managing myself, but managing a company and taking over the family business? Please spare me. Most importantly, after being pampered by my parents for over 20 years, I also wanted to step out of my comfort zone and see if I could be self-reliant. Originally, I was working on my graduate thesis and didn't plan on being a waitress long term, but Luke was an unexpected variable in my plans. Now it seems I have to date, I have to be a waitress, and I can't go home. What can I do when I like him so much? Mom, don't try to persuade me. You'd be better off persuading Dad when you have time. And I'll tell you a secret. I already have someone I like. Ah, really? What does he look like? How old is he? Where does his family live? What do his parents do? This loose tongue of mine, why does it blurt out everything? Mom, I have to go to work. Gotta go. Jennifer, when did you get a boyfriend? Don't be shy. Tell Mom. After hanging up, I wanted to slap myself twice. Of all things to say, why did I have to say I had a boyfriend? Sure enough, my mom started hinting, but I pretended not to understand. After work in the evening, Luke came to walk me home. We held hands and strolled down the street. When I was tired, he would carry me on his back and buy me warm roasted sweet potatoes and sugar-coated chestnuts. He cupped my face and said tenderly, Jennifer, I'll buy a car next month so you won't have to suffer in the cold with me anymore. I immediately shook my head. No way! How will you warm my hands if we're sitting in a warm car? I don't want that. Anyway, the company isn't far from home, and walking back is good for losing weight. Luke looked at me, his dark eyes full of doting affection. Okay. As we approached the neighborhood, I saw a familiar Mercedes-Benz from a distance, especially the license plate number 888. It stood out among the ordinary cars. Why was my mom here? While Luke wasn't paying attention, I immediately pulled out my phone. That's when I saw my mom's WeChat message. Honey, Mom's here to see you. This was all because of my big mouth this afternoon. Mom, thank you so much. I might be working overtime tonight and won't be coming home. Nonsense. I already saw you standing at the alley entrance. My mom sent another lewd emoji. Is the boy next to you your boyfriend? Come closer. Mom can't see his face clearly. What a mom. Not leaving me any room to maneuver. I immediately grabbed Luke's arm. Darling, how about we stop here? Luke raised an eyebrow, asking confusedly, what's wrong? And nothing. I just feel bad that you've worked all day and walked so far with me. I want you to go home and rest early. Luke pinched the tip of my nose, smiling. I'm happy to be with you. How could I be tired? Watching my mom open the door and get out of the car, I immediately turned around with him. Since that's the case then you can walk with me for a little longer. After saying that, I quickly pulled him away. I sent Luke to buy milk tea and quickly called my mom. Mom, stop messing around. My boyfriend doesn't know who I am at all. He still thinks I'm just an ordinary working-class person. My mom was stunned for a few seconds, then said, Oh, is that so? That's okay. Mom can act with you. I practically knelt before her. No, your acting is too terrible. My mom still wouldn't give up. Then it's okay if Mom doesn't talk, right? Mom is here to bring you food. How can you bear to let Mom go back? I looked around, and in a flash of inspiration said, Mom, everyone here is struggling financially. You driving a luxury car here, people will think you're showing off your wealth. And if they find out you're my mom, maybe thieves will target me later. As soon as I said that, my mom indeed hesitated. All right then, honey. You have to protect yourself. Tonight, will your boyfriend be staying over? Mom, what are you talking about? We're completely innocent, just purely dating. Seeing Luke walking over with 2 cups of milk tea, I immediately hung up the phone. Your favorite taro boba milk tea. I bit the bullet and stood with Luke at the alley entrance for more than 10 minutes. Seeing my mom finally drive away, I finally relaxed. Luke's nose and ears were red from the cold, which broke my heart. How about you come up for a cup of hot tea? This was the first time I invited him to my home after we had been dating for a month. Okay, Luke said with a playful smile. I can also help you fix light bulbs and unclog drains. Get out of here! We joked and played all the way home. Just as I poured Luke a cup of hot water, there was a knock at the door. It might be a delivery, I explained, meeting his puzzled gaze. When I opened the door, I was completely stunned. It was my mom. Even worse, she was wearing a delivery uniform from a certain platform. At first glance, it really looked the part. My mom saw me, and a perfunctory smile appeared on her face. She handed me the delivery with one hand and pushed me aside with the other, craning her neck to look inside the house. She yelled in a voice that couldn't be any louder. There are 2 of you eating, right? I brought you 2 sets of cutlery. Help! I'm really going to thank her. I hurriedly looked back and saw that Luke hadn't come out. Only then did I dare to lower my voice. Mom, what are you doing? My mom looked at me innocently. Delivering food, especially when she happily told me, My dear Jennifer, Thanks to your reminder, Mom. It's good to be low-key. Now that I've changed into a delivery uniform to collect rent, I immediately feel much more down to earth. Does she deliver food like that? Oh no, does she collect rent like that? I should have known that someone as curious as my mom. After finding out I had a boyfriend, how could she possibly suppress her burning desire for gossip? Mom, please don't mess this up for me again. Your delivery has been made. You can go now. My mom looked at me in disbelief, as if I wasn't her biological child. Honey, Mom dressed up like this to see you. Can't you invite Mom in for a cup of tea? My mom was doing it on purpose, so I tactfully said, Mom, have you ever seen someone invite a delivery person into their house for tea? My mom thought seriously for a moment, then said, It's not unheard of. I remember seeing it on the news last time. Why was she taking it seriously? Mom, I'm not kidding with you. Tomorrow I can take a whole day off to spend with you, okay? My mom decisively shook her head. No, I want today. Mom, even though you're my mom, today really isn't possible. All right, it's time to reveal my true identity. Was she going to transform or tell Luke the truth? Before she could speak, I quickly preempted her. When Luke, unable to wait, came to the door, he saw me covering my mom's mouth. My mom's eyes were wide, and she was whimpering, trying to express something. I quickly explained to Luke through the half-open door. Wait a moment. I need to talk to this auntie. You go sit down. Quickly go sit. Luke saw my serious expression, hesitated for a moment, then returned to the living room. I quickly pulled my mom outside and closed the door. Just one glance. I was just one glance away from seeing what he looked like. My mom patted me on the back twice, scolding me. You heartless little thing. Even if he's a poor boy, your mom wouldn't make it difficult for him. As long as you like him, Mom will support you. Although my mom's words were heartwarming, I hadn't forgotten that I had hidden my identity from Luke. I gently patted her back and explained. Mom, you understand your daughter. You tell me, if you go in there and something slips out, what if he gets angry? My mom stared at me for a long time. Then she said, Why are you such a love-struck fool, just like your dad? Jennifer? My mom smiled like a fox. You didn't just think I was going to reveal our mother-daughter relationship, did you? Otherwise? My mom snorted softly, pulled a large bunch of keys from her bag, and dangled them triumphantly in front of me. She said, I'm here to collect rent. Forgot to tell you, you're renting your own house. No, I starved myself to pay 3 months' rent up front, and now my mom tells me I'm renting my own house. Mom, is that polite? I finally understood why my dad said that meaningful line when I left home. Jennifer, you're still young? You don't understand why Sun Wukong couldn't jump out of the Buddha's five-finger mountain. It's not that he couldn't jump out. It's clearly jumping out of one pit, only to be tricked into another. Thinking of this, I took my mom's hand and asked coquettishly, Mom, then can I? No, I haven't finished yet. I know what you want to say. Free rent? No way. Truly, my own mother, refusing so decisively. I was afraid Luke would get suspicious waiting inside, so after coaxing my mom away, I hurried back. Luke heard me open the door and immediately came to the entrance, asking anxiously, What happened? Did you two have a conflict? I smiled and waved my hand. No, the auntie and I are fine. Luke was half skeptical. Then who is she? My eyes rolled, and I didn't dare to look directly at him, asking me for a good review. I hadn't eaten the food cooked by the auntie at home for many days, so I was burying my head in my food, not paying attention to what he was saying. Luke is very good to me, and I can't treat him harshly, can I? Over the weekend, I tried countless times to make sushi at home according to the recipe the auntie taught me, and finally learned how to do it. On Monday noon, to give Luke a surprise, I specifically went to the periphery of his construction site before calling him, Honey, guess where I am now? The machines inside the construction site were buzzing, but strangely, the background noise on Luke's end of the phone was unusually quiet. I looked up at the 26th floor being built, where figures the size of footballs were busy. Oh, construction workers are so hardworking. Jennifer, where are you? Luke's voice was deep and magnetic, making my heart tremble. I'm at your construction site to bring you lunch. I even considerately added. I know you're working on the top floor. No need to rush down. I can wait for you, slowly. Okay, wait for me. Jennifer, don't come in. It's dirty and unsafe here. Perhaps he was too excited. I could hear Luke's voice was a little unsteady. 15 minutes later, Luke stood in front of me, panting. He was wearing a yellow hard hat and dirty, ill-fitting work clothes. I touched his wrist, which was exposed quite a bit, and said with a pained heart, Your boss is too inhumane. How can the work clothes customized for you still be shoddy? Luke's face turned red, and he stammered. Actually, the boss is also very busy. Maybe he didn't notice these details. Seeing his shy look, I knew he must be too embarrassed to ask the boss for a new set of work clothes. I put my hands on my hips and said anxiously, details are the most important thing. It's winter now, and you're working on the top floor. Your wrists and ankles are exposed. What if you get arthritis when you're old? No, I'm going to find your leader and demand an explanation. My boy, if others don't care, I will. With that, I pulled his hand and rushed inside. A helpless Luke had no choice but to borrow a hard hat from a passing coworker for me to wear. It was red, though. Jennifer, Brother Wang from logistics isn't here right now, so you won't see anyone even if you go. Don't worry. I'll definitely report this to him when he gets back, Luke said hurriedly. By the way, aren't you here to bring me food? I'm hungry too. Hearing that the leader wasn't around, I had no choice but to give up. Luke, little Luke, there's a spot here. Not far away, a coworker wearing a white hard hat enthusiastically waved to him. Luke took my hand and walked over. Only after I went inside did I realize that the room also had heating. The small tin room was spotlessly clean. Huh? Why didn't your coworker just now come in to eat? I asked curiously. Luke glanced outside and said, They've already eaten. Oh, I take back what I just said. Your leader is really good, even installing heating in your dining area. Luke looked at the insulated container in my hand, scratching his head. After moving bricks all morning, he must have been starving. Thinking of this, my heart ached a little. I made you sushi. Do you want to try it and see if it's good? Luke took a piece and put it in his mouth, immediately praising it. Delicious, especially delicious, even better than the authentic Japanese sushi I've had. You've been to Japan? Luke quickly shook his head. No, it's just that I bought sushi from a place called Japanese Sushi before. I tenderly stroked the top of his head and couldn't help but say, I'll take you abroad to eat authentic cuisine someday. Luke suddenly looked up. Huh? No. I mean, when we have money, we'll travel abroad together, okay? Luke nodded at that. I wanted to bite off my tongue. I almost spilled the beans. I curiously looked out the window at a group of workers wearing different colored hard hats gathered on an empty lot. What are they doing? Luke said without looking up. Having a meeting. Why weren't you called to the meeting? Luke paused, then said, My rank isn't high enough. I gasped, then understood. Right. Luke graduated from a vocational school, came from a poor family, and finding a job with a monthly income of $8,000 in a big city was already quite good. Luke, your hats are different colors. Does that mean your ranks are different too? Yes. Luke, after finishing an entire box of sushi, came to the window and explained to me, red is the highest rank, worn by leaders. White hats are worn by ordinary workers. His profile was sharply defined, his eyebrows deep set, and his nose bridge high. His voice was low and clear, and his Adam's apple bobbed up and down. His whole being exuded a captivating aura. I rested my chin in my hands, gazing at him infatuatedly. Luke suddenly turned around. Our eyes met, and the corner of his lips curved into a smile. His dark eyes seemed to sparkle with countless stars. At that moment, I impulsively leaned in and kissed him. Just as Luke was getting emotional, I suddenly pushed him away. Pointing to the hat on my head, I asked, Do you have any coworkers who are leaders? Luke looked strange, stammering for a long time before saying, Yes, it's my uncle. I always felt like something was off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Just as I was about to ask something else, Luke said, You have to work this afternoon. I'll take you back. That's fine. When Luke and I left, the group of coworkers who had gathered immediately started staring at us. Being stared at by so many people made me a little uncomfortable. I whispered to him, Your coworkers are really nice. They even came to see me off with you, as if I were a big leader. Luke was silent for a moment, then shielded me from everyone's gaze. Yes. Everyone usually takes good care of me. Ah, everyone is so loving. In a blink of an eye, Luke and I had been in a passionate relationship for more than half a year, and during this time I also successfully received my graduation certificate. These past few days, Luke has been very secretive, even evasive when facing me. What's wrong with you? Have you been doing something bad behind my back? Luke saw that I was pressing him hard, so he had to explain. I've seen your ID card and know that your birthday is coming up soon, so I'm planning to give you a birthday surprise. After hearing that, my heart was practically blooming. I finally made it to my birthday, and when I got home, Luke was standing at the door of our rental apartment holding a bouquet of flowers, waiting for me. Jennifer, happy birthday. Although giving flowers is cliché, this damn sense of ritual still moved me to tears. When I saw him prepare a candlelight dinner by hand, just like on TV, I was even happier. I wrapped my arms around his neck and gave him a loud kiss on the cheek. "Thank you, Luke." He pursed his lips and smiled. "Don't be silly. There's also a gift for you. Open it and take a look." Holding the exquisitely wrapped gift box, my heart pounded. I had received countless gifts, but this was the first birthday gift from my boyfriend. However, the moment I opened it, I froze. Luke looked at me, a hint of anticipation in his eyes, and asked, "What's wrong? Is it not pretty, or do you not like it?" To be honest, it was pretty, and I did like it. But such a valuable gift shouldn't have come from him, because it was a jewelry set worth millions. The smile on my face faded. Closing the gift, I looked into his dark eyes and whispered, "Luke, what made you think of giving me a jewelry set?" Luke quickly glanced at me, then stammered, I I didn't know what to get. I just thought your neck looked bare, and I happened to see a live stream selling necklaces while I was on my phone, so I picked out a set." Happened? Selling necklaces? What major streamer would openly sell millions of dollars worth of jewelry in a live stream? Was he treating me like a 3-year-old? Looking at his incredibly sincere face, I became unsure again. "This emerald," Luke met my gaze, his eyes clear, and said, "This emerald clearly looks fake, but the silver chain on it is real." I forgot to tell him that I majored in jewelry design. I used to see some colorful gemstones in my mom's jewelry box, and I studied this major after going to university. I've encountered hundreds, if not thousands, of gemstones. I can still tell the real from the fake at a glance. After my birthday, Luke said he had something to attend to at home and needed to go back. I casually asked, "Do you need me to come with you?" After all, we'd been together for quite some time, and my parents knew him. It was about time I met Luke's parents. But Luke's expression changed, and he immediately found an excuse to refuse me. If this were before, I wouldn't have cared. But now it was different. He had just given me an expensive set of jewelry, so I couldn't help but be suspicious. After watching him get into a taxi, I immediately hailed one myself and followed. Luke's taxi stopped after turning 2 corners. I watched him get into a stretched limousine parked by the roadside. There was even a driver who got out to personally open the door for him. At that moment, my heart sank. "Luke," I followed the car to a private club and looked at the club's name. I remembered that this club not only required real name registration, but was also not open to the public. One had to be invited by a member to gain VIP membership. Before I could think further, I saw a young woman, dressed in designer clothes, standing at the entrance, looking eagerly. After seeing Luke get out of the car, she approached him with eyes full of affection. She went up and hugged Luke, and Luke gently patted her back a few times. Even though I was sitting in the car, I could clearly see a faint smile on Luke's profile. The woman then leaned on him, intimately linking her arm through his as they entered the club. I stared blankly at the empty doorway, feeling as if someone had stabbed me deeply in the heart. I never in a million years would have thought that Luke would be a kept man, supported by a rich woman. So what was I? A canary kept by a kept man? No wonder he gave me jewelry worth millions. It all came from the rich woman. Thinking of this, I immediately felt sick to my stomach. This was my first relationship, and I had fallen so hard. It was truly laughable. After returning home, I defiantly had a few drinks and then called Luke to break up. Luke quickly rushed home, made me a hangover tea, and even tried to hold me and massage my temples. I ruthlessly refused him. "Luke, have you been hiding something from me?" Luke looked at me quietly, and after a moment, shook his head. "No." "Ha!" I chuckled softly. He really is stubborn. Fine. He wants to keep hiding it, doesn't he? "We're breaking up," Luke sighed softly. "Jennifer, you're drunk. I might be drunk now, but 2 hours ago I was perfectly clear-headed. Seeing him on a date with a rich woman, not exposing him then and there, was me being considerate. I just suddenly realized I don't like you anymore." "Nonsense!" Luke suddenly rushed over, hugging and kissing me. He used to be incredibly gentle with me, but now he was like an enraged beast, seemingly wanting to crush me and melt me into his body. I couldn't break free, so I bit him hard. Luke cried out in pain and let go, looking at me with deep eyes. "Jennifer, I won't break up with you." With that, he lowered his head to kiss me again. I must have been crazy to reciprocate. Some things, once started, are hard to stop. When I fully came to my senses, it was already the middle of the night. Luke lay beside me, his breathing even and long. Tiptoeing out of bed, getting dressed, I looked at the sleeping Luke and gave a cold smile. After blocking all of Luke's contact information, I took 1,000 yuan from my bag and left a sticky note. I'm tired of playing. This money is for you to recuperate. Goodbye. Never to see you again. I returned home looking disheveled, and my parents guessed I must have broken up. They tacitly avoided mentioning the family business, but I didn't expect the aftermath of the breakup to hit so hard. Somehow, my appetite suddenly started to decline. Seeing greasy food made me nauseous, and I visibly lost weight, which worried my mom greatly. She personally went and bought me a cake from M.O. Royal. Oh no, their company was acquired and changed its name. Now it's called Eileen's Cake. What a tacky name. Fortunately, I can still eat cake now. My mom lovingly stroked my head and gently comforted me, saying, "Out with the old, in with the new. That jerk doesn't appreciate you. Plenty of people do." My heart ached, and tears welled up quickly. I tried hard to hold them back, not wanting to worry my mom. I forced a smile and said, "Mom, I'm fine. He's just a man. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Your daughter is so excellent. Why would I worry about not finding someone who truly cares for me?" My mom nodded repeatedly, seizing the opportunity to suggest, "That Dawson boy I mentioned to you last time. The one who bought the cake shop. I heard he's single now too. Why don't you two?" She was trying to set me up on a blind date again. Finally, my mom added, "Just do it for your dad and me." Since my mom said that, I could only nod. "Mom, you arrange it." My mom was overjoyed, repeatedly saying, "Good, good, honey. I'm glad you've come around." Maybe I ate too much cake, but I had a dull ache in my lower abdomen that night. I rubbed my belly button for a while before realizing with a start I hadn't had my period in 2 months. A bad premonition immediately rose in my heart. Half an hour later, sitting on the toilet, I stared at the 2 lines displayed. I was numb. For a moment, I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. I was so angry I wanted to find Luke immediately, bite him a couple of times, and then kick him a few times. Dawn broke, and I was still in a daze. My mom came in early in the morning, pulling me to pick out skirts and draw my eyebrows. Only then did I half-dreamily remember that she had told me before bed last night that I was going on a blind date today. I'm pregnant. What kind of blind date am I going on? Looking up, I saw the long-lost smile on my mom's face, and suddenly I couldn't bear to speak. Since I came home, for as long as I was sad and upset, my mom was sad with me. Now that I finally saw her happy, why would I spoil it? It's just a blind date, isn't it? I'll just mess it up. I touched my flat stomach and thought, "Little one, I'm counting on you today." We arrived at a lavishly decorated restaurant. Before entering the private room, I walked behind my mom with my head down, determined to give that Dawson guy a terrible impression, for no other reason than that he, like Luke, was named Dawson. No one named Dawson is any good. Jennifer, come here. This is Luke. Luke Dawson? I instinctively looked up, and who else could the man in front of me be but Luke? At that moment, my mind went blank, and my ears buzzed. He's Luke? It really is Luke. So, the Dawson who bought M.O. Royal Bakery is also him. I wasn't the only one dumbfounded. The person opposite me was too. But Luke reacted faster than I did, and his expression quickly returned to normal. Sure enough, men are heartless. I sarcastically sneered. "Oh, shouldn't young Master Luke be moving bricks at the construction site?" Luke looked at me calmly and composedly, asking, "Shouldn't Miss Jennifer be waiting tables at a restaurant?" My mom and his mom were both stunned. After Luke glanced at the two elders' faces, he smiled and said, "Just kidding." My mom then realized, "So, you two already know each other." I neither shook my head nor nodded, feeling as uncomfortable as if I had swallowed a fly. Aunt Dawson even pulled my mom away, using the excuse of going shopping, and told Luke to take good care of me. The room suddenly fell silent, and neither Luke nor I looked at each other. How could you come on a blind date? Hey, after breaking up, has he forgotten how to speak like a human? I looked at him coldly and asked, "Didn't you come on a blind date?" Luke was choked by my words and explained, "I didn't know it was a blind date before I came." I snorted. His words were probably only good for fooling 17 or 18-year-old girls. Just as I was about to mock him, a strong wave of nausea suddenly rose in my stomach. I started throwing up into the trash can in the corner. Luke rushed to my side, gently patting my back and softly asking, "What's wrong? Didn't you eat properly? How many times have I told you to drink less cold stuff? Your stomach must be upset, right? I'm having morning sickness, damn it. It's all your child's fault." I pushed him away. "Stop with the crocodile tears, Luke. Don't think that what happened between us can just be brushed aside. You lied to me first. I won't get back together with you, and I certainly won't marry you." Luke rubbed his nose. "I haven't said anything yet." "Jennifer, Even when sentencing someone to death, there has to be a reason. I thought for a moment, then deliberately put on a cold face and said, "What reason? Don't you know? You! You're no good!" After blurting out those words, I fled, as if escaping. Only after I got outside did I realize my cheeks were burning. I shook my head, trying to clear Luke from my mind. I wandered around all day and only went home when I figured my parents were already asleep. To my surprise, they were both still sitting in the living room, seemingly waiting for me. I awkwardly smiled at them. Before I could finish, my mom interrupted me. She had a look that said, "You don't need to explain. We understand. See, honey? I told you that you'd like Luke when you saw him. I'm relieved to see you two getting along so well. They couldn't possibly think I was home so late because I was on a date with Luke, could they?" I took a deep breath and asked, "What did he say?" My mom smiled and said, "Luke said you two like each other and are just one step away from getting engaged. He's full of it. He's really good at tooting his own horn. Who's in love with him?" "Mom, I don't want to marry him." My mom rolled her eyes at me. "You're not still thinking about your ex-boyfriend, are you? He's poor and has no ambition. How can he give you a good life in the future?" I wonder if my mom's jaw would drop if she knew Luke was the ex-boyfriend she was talking about. I explained helplessly. "Mom, don't mention him in front of me. We're long over," my mom said. "Oh," then smiled and said, "I know. You must be embarrassed, right? It's okay. Your dad and I aren't outsiders. I couldn't explain it clearly. After a long day, I didn't even have the strength to speak. It seemed impossible to explain it clearly anytime soon. So I just waved my hand and went back to my bedroom. The next day, early in the morning, I heard a lot of noise downstairs. Is my mom having a party at home? I rubbed my eyes and looked down. I didn't know until I looked, and then I was shocked. Luke and Luke's parents were sitting steadily on our sofa, chatting and laughing with my parents. "This Luke? Is he never going to give up?" I couldn't help but yell, "Luke, get up here!" Actually, I regretted it as soon as I yelled it. Seeing 4 surprised faces, I wished I could just bury myself in my quilt and suffocate myself. Luke, on the other hand, calmly said to the elders, "Jennifer wants me to come up," my parents quickly said angrily. "Go, go. Jennifer's room is the first one on the left, on the second floor." Luke's parents were even more overjoyed. Anyone could see this marriage is a sure thing written all over their faces. After pulling Luke into the room, I angrily asked, "What do you mean by this?" He ignored me, instead meticulously examining my room. "So, you like these things?" Luke scratched his head sheepishly. "I wish I had known. I wouldn't have given you that set of heirloom jewelry." It turned out that was their family heirloom. Luke looked at me and smiled. It was my first time giving a girl a gift, so I had no experience. I asked my sister for advice before choosing the jewelry. "I didn't expect you wouldn't like it. Is that the point?" I couldn't help but ask. "Your sister is?" Luke pulled out his phone to show me a picture of his sister. "Huh. Isn't this the woman who was so intimate with him that day?" It was actually Luke's sister. "Biological sister?" Luke raised an eyebrow at me. "Born of the same mother. Of course, she's my biological sister." Awkward. And it's over. If Luke knew I broke up with him because I was jealous of his biological sister, he'd probably laugh until his stomach hurt. All right, I can forgive him about the jewelry. But he concealed his identity from me, and I don't have much leverage, after all. I also concealed things from him. Seeing my silence, Luke pinched my cheek. He teased, "In my heart, you're the most beautiful." Huh? When I realized what he meant, my face immediately turned crimson. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Luke, what are you laughing at? Get away from me, don't touch me." Just as we were playfully bickering, there was a sudden knock at the door. It was my mom. "Jennifer, Luke, it's time to go." As we were leaving, Luke unexpectedly grabbed my hand, and I couldn't shake him off. My parents saw Luke leading me down and immediately gave us knowing looks, constantly winking at me. Luke's parents had booked a restaurant, saying that the two families were going to have a formal gathering. I was curious and puzzled, but when I saw that the restaurant they booked was the place where I used to work, I immediately didn't want to get out of the car. I stealthily made my way to the private room, afraid that my former colleagues would recognize me. Everyone sat down, and before the toast glasses were even raised, the feeling of nausea returned. "Excuse me, I need to go to the restroom," I vaguely heard my mom muttering. "This child has been throwing up like this for several days, hasn't she? She's usually so healthy. Why suddenly?" When I returned after throwing up, I suddenly noticed that the atmosphere at the dinner table was a bit heavy. I glanced at Luke and saw that he was also looking deeply at me. What's wrong?" After saying that, I realized that Kristen, the colleague I used to work with, was serving this private room. Kristen saw me and was overly familiar. Jennifer, why are you here? You're pregnant and you're still coming to work? Actually, it wasn't. It was all my fault for being so stunned after finding out I was pregnant yesterday that I subconsciously complained to Kristen. I wanted to stop her, but it was too late. Next, she pointed at Luke, and suddenly, enlightened, she said, I knew it. You're here for this pretty boy, aren't you? Ah, you pretty boy. Not only did you deceive our Jennifer's feelings, but now that you're a father, you don't contribute any money or effort, making our Jennifer a single mother. The four elders looked at each other, none of them able to imagine what kind of love-hate entanglement had occurred between Luke and me. I was afraid that if my colleague continued to speak, it would only make things worse, so I covered her mouth and pulled her out. Kristen, I'll handle it myself. Thank you. Kristen looked at me with great sympathy and said, Jennifer, don't be afraid. That scumbag will have to pay for his responsibilities sooner or later. Hey, why are you pulling me out? I have to serve the guests at this table. No, really no need. The atmosphere in the private room was extremely tense. Luke's parents stared at him with serious expressions, their eyes almost like police interrogating a suspect, and I wasn't doing much better myself. Under the stern gaze of each other's parents, we cooperated and finally managed to explain how we met and fell in love. So, what about the child? 5 pairs of eyes simultaneously stared at my belly, and I couldn't help but shiver. Luke grabbed my hand and knelt on one knee. Jennifer, I'm sorry. It was my fault for hiding my identity from you. I will marry you and take care of you and our child for the rest of our lives. I was about to speak when the door was forcefully pushed open from the outside. Mom and Dad, what era is this that you're still arranging marriages? Don't you know that my brother already has someone he likes? For that girl, my brother worked on our construction site for over half a year, moving bricks. And that's not all. He even gave away the family heirloom emerald and bought a small, failing cake shop, renaming it something like Reliance, I think. It's a bit tacky, but isn't it because the girl's name is Jennifer? If this isn't true love, what is? In short, I'm the first to object to this marriage. Luke's sister's sudden outburst once again shocked everyone. Sis, the person I like is Jennifer. Jennifer Delaney, I heard her whisper. You brat? Do you want me to die? Even years after marrying Luke, whenever I recall the scene of our public revelation that day, I still feel it was utter chaos. In short, Luke and I didn't even have time to speak that day. Both sets of parents quickly discussed the wedding date. Luke even visited daily, bringing a hideous cake every time. Apparently, he had apprenticed with the baker at Reliance Cake Shop. I looked at the monstrosity of a cake in front of me, and even my last bit of appetite vanished. Maybe you should just stop learning. Isn't this just ruining cakes? Luke had a, the more setbacks the braver I become attitude. No, I must make the cake you like. Then, at our wedding, I'll personally feed it to you. I fell silent. Please, let me go. And let the cake go too. Many years later, when Luke and I had a son who was 7 or 8 years old, he also had a little girl he liked in his class. He happily asked me, Mom, I want to make a cake for Tian Tian myself, just like Dad carefully made one for you. Of course. Come on, let's go find Dad and have him teach you. At that moment, Luke was in the garden, pushing our daughter on the swing. The little one saw me and happily jumped off the swing. Mommy, I want to eat cookies. I feigned distress. Oh no, what should I do if Mommy doesn't know how to make them? The little one pointed at Luke. Daddy does. Luke and I exchanged a smile, and we held each other's hands tightly.